Good morning, everyone. This is Kay Kaltoff. Welcome to a Stampin' Chat with Kay. We're going to do a gorgeous Posies card. This is, I don't know how many I've done now, but for sure this is the second one this week. It's so much fun to work with. It's one of those little sleeper stamp sets that's so easily overlooked in the catalog because it is an add-on to the gorgeous Posies card kit. And so if you love really beautiful, easy cards, you must get the gorgeous Posies card kit. So it comes in a beautiful box like this, very sturdy. I plan to buy multiple kits throughout the year, so I have lots of cards on hand to send to my customers and to family and friends, make them up as gifts because my daughters are always asking me to make cards for them for birthdays and whatnot. So I thought that'd be a great thing to give away, all completed of course. And then it gives you wonderful instructions, which, you know, you don't have to follow the instructions, but if you do follow the instructions, they're very easy. It gives you 16 cards. There's 2 landscape designs. Hopefully you're seeing these. I can never tell. The delay is so long on these videos. And then the next set of cards that come with this kit are in the portrait style. So they're just really beautiful, 4 of each design for a total of 16 cards. All right. So I do have some cards to share with you today. I hope you're excited. These are the cards that my downline and I created for our meeting Make and Takes in July, and they turned out so nice. So I'm only going, so one of the cards that was part of that Make and Take, I'm actually making today. But all of the cards use the gorgeous Posies stamp set. So let me show you the stamp set. This is what we're going to be using today. It's so pretty, isn't it? Again, it's one of those little sleeper sets. So you have to look under the kit section in the Stampin' Up! Catalog to find out more information. So let me share the cards we made for meeting Make and Takes. I'm trying to think where I should hold these because I always get kind of discombobulated on these because I never know, do I need to go to the right? Do I need to go to the left? I'll just hold it up, wait a little bit and see where this comes out. But here's the first card. That looks good. You can see my face and the card at the same time. How about that? So I love how this card turned out. It's got such fluffy, pretty ribbon, so we use that ribbon a lot on these Make and Takes. And then I love that we added some little touches here with the sweet little border underneath the name, or not the name, the label, sentiment label. So pretty. So that's one of them that we did. Another one that we did is this one. So you can see there's some in colors being used. We used the basic black, well, basic black's not an in color, but it works good with a lot of in colors. But the previous one had Magenta Madness, and then this one uses the new Bumblebee color. And then there's some gold glitter dots on here because, you know, you have to add a little something, right? If you don't have ribbon, it's a good idea to put a little something else on there. So that one didn't have ribbon. This one actually uses the square vellum doilies, and it's just beautiful. And it also uses the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder in the background. So that's what this one looks like. They're just all so beautiful, and I'd love to make them all for you, but there's so many stamp sets, so I have to eventually move on here. But the card we're making today with a matching envelope looks like this. So here's the card and the matching envelope. And of course we're going to do the inside as well. It just turned out so nice. So let's go ahead and get started making this card. So I'm going to, just give me a second here to pull the camera in and to flip it down, and then we'll get rolling. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. So these are the colors that we're using. We're pairing it up with purple and midnight what is it now? Misty Moonlight. I'm still getting those colors down. So we have Highland Heather and Misty Moonlight. Misty Moonlight is a new in color from Stampin' Up. And of course the white background, so it really shows off these colors. Both of them have a little bit of a faded look to them, but yet when you pair them together, it sort of makes them pop. So it'll be fun to work with this. Here's the actual card again, and I will share that we are also going to be using the Painted Labels dies, because this die right here, as you can see, it makes a beautiful backdrop for your sentiment. So this again is another layered sentiment that I'll be sharing with you how I've made, and it is fantastic. And there's also a little paper saving tip that I'm going to give you when you are working with layers, so that's always kind of fun. So the first thing I think we're going to do is go ahead and get stamping. So we have lots of flowers here to stamp, so we're going to use the Highland Heather ink pad today. And of course, the pretty flower that's part of the Gorgeous Posies stamp set. We're going to be stamping off and using first and second generations, so I'll explain how that all works. And we're going to need some scrap paper. So I just have some half sheets of scrap here cut up. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and get the envelope stamped first. Now, if you haven't used a Stampin' Up! Envelope, I highly encourage you to give it a try because they are so beautifully stampable. So the first inking is going to just go right here, and then do not go in and ink a second time with your second generation. You want to re-ink, because I will show you on your stamp there's a part that didn't get onto the envelope, and so if you were to maybe not hold that quite right and stamp your second generation, oftentimes you'll end up with an image like this that's half dark, half light, and then you think, oh crap, that isn't the look I wanted. So what I do is I recommend, if you're doing second generations and you're stamping off the edges of your cardstock, just re-ink and then stamp off once and then bring it on. So how quick and easy was that, and how beautiful are those images on our Whisper White envelopes. They're just so fabulous. Again, ink up full strength for that first image, ink it up again, stamp it off, and do your second image. Now we're going to bring in the very pretty center of these flowers, which you're going to use Misty Moonlight with. So we're going to take that very pretty flower center, ink it up once, and then because we haven't stamped on a crease or off the edge, we don't even have to ink it up again and stamp off, because we've technically stamped off once here. So when we bring it in for the second stamping to make it lighter on the lighter flower, it's perfect and ready to go. So there's what that looks like. So I'll do it again real quickly here. Ink it up, stamp off, and stamp on. So there we go. All right, we got our envelopes created. Because this will be a giveaway, I am going to be giving away 2 yards of the polka dot Whisper White ribbon. It's going to be great, you guys, because this ribbon just is so fluffy and fun to work with. And when you mail it off and then your recipient pulls it out of the card, it just gets all pretty and fluffy right out of the envelope, because it's just one of those ribbons that you just can't mess up. So it'll be fun to give this away. So that drawing will be on Tuesday, and the way you get into the drawing is you share, come back, let me know you've shared, or just make a comment, tell me where you're watching from. It's always fun to see people from all over the country, sometimes even other parts of the world, that tune in to these Stampin' Chat with Kay. All right, so now we're going to do the inside and outside panels. So let me grab that for you. And we are going to be using 2 Whisper White panels, but they're different sizes. As you can see, the card has an extra layer here on the front, and so that is a layered depth up, and it's 3 3/4 by 5 inches for the front panel. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll do those first. And so again, we are going to be stamping on, stamping off. So again, I will be getting some pretty messy paper here just because of the way this works. So bring your first stamp almost to the top, but not quite. Leave a little bit of room up there. Then ink it up again, stamp off on your scrap, and bring in another one right next to it. Ink it up, and you're going to bring another one. So you're just kind of going every other one. So since that one didn't have any edges that went off, then I can go ahead and just take that second generation and just throw that in right here because it's going to look fine. Then we want a darker one right here, so we're going to stamp there. But this time I will re-ink and stamp off because again I was on an edge. And then we can go in and do another one maybe right here. And then we'll do a full strength right here. All right, so there we go. I'm going to set that aside and we're going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to do it a lot faster. I won't give the instructions exactly how I'm doing it because I just did that. So you should probably know. So you can just watch as I do this fairly quickly. Whoops, I didn't do it quite like I wanted to do, but that's okay because I know I want a lighter one here. So I stamped off. Now I'm going to go full strength right here. And then I can go half strength here. There we go. So we have our front panels done. Now before we put the blue dots on, I'm just going to go in and do, since I'm working with the Highland Heather, I'm just going to keep working with that. Trade out my scrap paper here. So now this piece of Whisper White for the inside panel is 4 by 5 1/4, just a little bit bigger. And again, let me just check my template here. There we go. Here's one inside panel and I'll quickly do the other one. I think I'll put that towards the bottom because I don't think I really left a lot of writing space at the top. So when that happens, if your images get a little bit too big, just flip that around and make that the bottom. There we go. There's our second inside panel. And we're almost all done with the Highland Heather. Not quite, because we will have to stamp our sentiments later on. Now we're going to go in with the Misty Moonlight and stamp the centers. So again, just gonna do first and second generations. There's our inside panel. We're doing the second inside panel. This is really fun, you guys. This is so much fun to make. It's really exciting to see these colors just pop, and they just look so pretty. So there's our second inside panel. Then we'll go ahead and we'll do this on the front panel. Again, first generation, second generation, first generation, second generation, first generation, second generation. And here it doesn't, I mean, you could put something there, but you really don't need to because you can tell that the little center of the flower is way down here. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. First, second, first, second, first, second, and maybe I will add a little something to this one because it's a little bit bigger. So that would be a first generation, so I'll just tip it in there just so that you can see that's a full flower too. All right, I believe we are done with the Misty Moonlight. So I am going to go ahead and close this up and get it out of the way so I don't actually get myself all inky. All right, now I'm putting these aside because I want to bring something else in. So I mentioned that we are going to be making a beautiful, beautiful layered sentiment. We're going to be using the painted labels that are part of a bundle. I think it's called the Painted Poppies Bundle. And then you can also order the stamp set and the label separately, but if you order them together, you save 10% on both, which is just a nice bonus from Stampin' Up. I didn't even use scraps, so this is the little tip I wanted to share with you. I did not use scraps to cut these out. I actually used a layer on my card. So these layers are Misty Moonlight, and they are 4 by 5 1/4. This is great if you have something that's going over the top of it, like we will be. So there's no reason not to use the center parts of that layer that's going to be covered up anyway. So as I mentioned, 4 by 5 1/4 in Misty Moonlight. Just ran it through my die cutting machine so that I got these center cutouts. I kept it towards the center because it'll be just layered up over the top. So that's how I did it. So I'm going to set this aside. Another thing we are going to have on this card is we need some circles, because this really lends itself well to a circular sentiment, so we really want to pop that sentiment. So I grabbed the layering circles dies, and I used a straight edge die for the Whisper White, and I believe it's the third largest straight edge circle die, and the same with the scalloped edge. I used the third largest and cut it out with Highland Heather. So kind of fun. I love these dies. Think about it. You get 16 dies for, 16 dies for $35. Can you imagine how much that would cost if it were all punches? I think dies, I mean, it is a little expensive to purchase the machine to cut them out. But wow, in the long run, it can really save you a lot of money on some of these basic things that you would use over and over and over. And starting in September, customers will be able to purchase that beautiful die cutting machine from Stampin' Up, the embossing and die cutting machine from Stampin' Up. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, if you're a demonstrator and you are in Stampin' Up, you get to purchase it early. So I will get to be using it already next month. So I'm super, super excited. All right, so let's go ahead and stamp these circles. And we're going to use a sentiment from this stamp set. It's Get Well Soon, and it really lends itself well to a circle. So we're just going to stamp that in there, and we are using Highland Heather ink. There we go. And now we're officially done with the Highland Heather ink, so I'm going to set that out of the way. And now it's just a matter of layering up. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, a new adhesive from Stampin' Up. And just the thing to remember is when you first use it, and it looks like I have to push it up a little bit, but when you break it off, go like this, and that allows the adhesive to be on the end, just like that. So it's easy to get started the next time. When I first started learning how to use it, it's handy to use it with a silicone mat. However, as you get more and more used to using it, you don't necessarily need the mat. The mat does help you though when you're first transitioning to learning how to use this adhesive, because it has just a little bit of give for you. So we're gonna put this on. We're just centering it in here, and then flip it over and just burnish it down so it sticks really well. Then we're going to add some dimensionals, because we want this to pop up a little bit from this gorgeous painted label here. So I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on each of these circles. Oh, it's so good to have so many of you watching, and so many of my friends and downline members. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Okay, so now we're just taking the peelies off. Wow, that's a tight one for some reason. Or maybe my nails are just not quite long enough to grab that. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to center this in to the die cut. And I'll do the same thing over here. You're just centering it in. There's some cute stitching inside. I'll show you a close-up. Really makes it easy. So let me hold it up so you can see what it looks like. See that stitching on the inside? There's just so many nice details to these dies that you really don't see until you hold it up close. It's beautiful. Okay, now it's just a matter now of putting our card together. So let's grab all the materials we need here to put everything together. So we have a Highland Heather card base. These card bases, basically it's a full sheet of Highland Heather cut in half. And then so the half marks are 5.5 by 8.5. See, I will show you because sometimes people don't realize this. And then score it at 4 1/4. So this is basically a full sheet of cardstock. I just put it on my Simply Scored tool, score it once all the way down before I've cut it. Then I cut it in half, and then I have 2 cards ready to go. I do like to share that once in a while because every once in a while we have people who are new to card making who are watching this and they're like, wow, how do you do that? How do you get that? It's really easy once you've done it a few times, but the first time's always hard, as first times usually are. So again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then let's go ahead and start our layering. So we have the Misty Moonlight that we cut our centers out of. That's going to go on first. And I am just going to use our new adhesive here because I love it. And it really, really is secure. I mean, it really gives you a good strong hold. So do try to make sure you have it exactly where you want it before you press it down. So what I like to do to make sure I'm putting it exactly where I want it is I just kind of hoover it over and I'm looking at each corner to make sure those are lined up. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm still learning how to use it. It is just a little bit different of a muscle memory move, and so I'm sure in the next month or so I'll have this down perfect, but every once in a while I still want to make that little check mark like we did with Fast Fuse back in the day. And then that's when I run into trouble and have to scooch it up. If you bring it off, in fact I'll show you with our next layer, if you just take your Stampin' Seal and break it off like this. I'll do it again. It just works so much better. And I can't remember to do it every time. So now this is the next layer up. Just center it in. Oh no, you know what I forgot to do, you guys? I forgot to put, oh well, it doesn't matter. I will maybe not even bother because it's such a small little detail. But behind the labels, I have a little bit of the polka dot tulle ribbon, but you can't even hardly see it. So I think I'm going to skip that. Plus, I have to skip it now anyway on these two. And just do the ribbon positioning here with the big fluffies. So not to worry, it's not really a big deal. It barely shows up. Really, as I was doing it, when I was making these up, I was thinking, why am I bothering to put ribbon underneath? You can't see it. What you see is the big fluffy bow. So no harm done. We will just continue on setting this card together. There we go. See, you can just, just change things up midway through. As you make mistakes, just change things up. Nobody's going to know the difference. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and put our inside panels in. And this is the one, I want to make sure this one that's a little bit bigger down here stays towards the bottom. I'm going to set this in, and I'm only doing adhesive on the top because I want it to be nice and loose and flowy. And here's the next one. And that goes in right here. See, look how good I'm getting at this snail, or at this, I keep calling it snail. The seal, it's a seal, not snail. All right, now, again, we are ready to put on our beautiful labels, so simple, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal. And you guys, it holds so good, you don't even need to use as much. It's tempting to want to just put it all over, but you don't need to because it's such a good hold. All right, so we're just going to center this in and then just give it a little press, and we're going to do the same thing over here. Center it in, just in that little a little dip there where we don't have flowers stamped. That goes right there. So pretty. Now for the finishing touch, we are going to, I made up in advance little bows with the tulle ribbon. And now we just have to add a glue dot to them, and that's going to finish off our cards. So let me add the glue dots. See, I just love putting them on the roll. I love it when I have a whole bunch when I'm making something for a swap or whatever, and I just keep rolling it out. It's so much fun to do. Then just set that in right there, and look at how pretty that is. Oh, these cards are so pretty. There we go. So we have them finished. It was just so easy. Here's our stamped envelopes. We don't want to miss out on showing those off. Oh my goodness, these are just beautiful. So I hope you've enjoyed the demonstration today. Thank you everybody so much for joining me. It was fun to have you here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday. Bye everybody.